Welcome to For the Long Run, the podcast exploring the why behind what keeps runners running long, strong, and motivated. I'm your host, Jonathan Levitt. I've been running for a few years now and have the privilege of meeting many incredible runners on my travels all across the country. This podcast is intended to share those amazing conversations. This week's guest is Matt Daniels. Matt is a trail and ultra runner as well as a coach. Matt has run a sub-4 minute mile, and this summer he's taking on the 100-mile distance for the first time at Western States after coming from a track and short distance background. Talk about range. Matt spent 3 years stationed in Japan with the U.S. Navy. After that, he returned stateside to run for a Division II running powerhouse where he truly sharpened his speed and ran that sub-4 minute mile. Over the next few years, he found himself loving the trails after moving to Boulder, which is where we recorded this podcast. We talked about the dangers of comparison and sticking to your own path, especially in a town like Boulder, where the running joke is that Boulder average means having a shoe sponsor. Toward the end, we talked a little bit about mental strength and Matt's experience with battling depression and how running helped to bring the joy back into his life. I hope you enjoy our chat. Welcome back. I am here in Boulder, Colorado with Matt Daniels. Matt, thanks for joining today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's nice to see you here in Boulder.
For sure. It's nice to be here. It's a beautiful 80-degree day, and it's been nice. There was some snow earlier in the week, and it's just gorgeous out there.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to miss the snow while I was out at the Western States training camp, but it's a pleasant surprise to come back to the 80-degree weather.
Nice. You want to give a little intro on who you are, and we'll jump right into it.
Yeah, so I'm Matt Daniels, Nike trail runner, and just qualified for Western States 100, and it's pretty much it.
Nice. So you mentioned you were at the Western States training camp.
Yep.
What was it like being there, getting on the course, with all the history that it has with so many amazing athletes that were out there with you?
Yeah, it was cool. The first night being there was a real kind of awesome wake up call. We went on a little group run in town in Auburn with some people, and first person I see there was Tim Tweetmeyer, who's won Western States so many times, and then we see the race director. And a bunch of other, famous people. The House Buff Stadium was right across the street from Ann Trayson's house. It was just, so much history and excitement in such a short period of time. And it was a really fun week. And so
nice.
I was getting excited for the race.
Have you been to Auburn before?
That was the first time. Yeah, first time out on the trails, first time in Auburn. I couldn't ask for a better week.
Nice. And you and Hayden did a nice little long run on the last, 16 to 20 of that course? Yeah,
so we actually, I guess the whole week we had... we got to go over pretty much all the whole course except for the first 30 miles. And we did the last 16 miles, probably the second or third day we were out there. And then from there, the last 3 days of the camp, we covered basically from mile 31 to the finish of the course. So got to see a lot of it.
Nice. Yeah. I love the run from No Hands Bridge to the finish. I did that back in... I don't know, a few months ago, but I couldn't believe how much climbing there was in the last 15 miles.
Yeah, it's insane. It's a nice break from what you have in the middle of the course,
right.
The canyons and stuff. But it is definitely one last punch from not mile, or from No Hands Bridge to mile 99. You have a pretty good little climb there.
Yeah, and then you get on the roads and it's punchy uphills.
Yeah. You go uphill for about 3/4 of a mile, and then you get a nice little downhill onto the track. So,
nice.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about when you're doing a race preview like that?
Yeah, a lot of it.
You're doing visualization?
A little bit. I think more than anything, I was just trying to really enjoy my time out there. I was trying not to have any negative thoughts come in, even just on an easy training run. I was covered in poison oak. It was pouring down rain a few of the days, but I just kept trying to find something to be excited about and something to be positive about. That way, I could have that good energy when I'm repeating on the course later in the later stages of the race here in a month. And it was a lot of just really enjoying being around the people I was with, and taking note of certain things on the course, and just a lot of learning.
Cool. And you guys saw a bear?
Oh yeah, massive bear. And then probably not even 400 meters up the trail was one of the biggest snakes I've ever seen on a trail right after that. So yeah, it was like checking out the Auburn Zoo for sure.
What do you do when you see something like that on the trail? I was out this morning running with a friend. He was like, Yeah, you just jump over a snake.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part, snakes don't really bother me too much because I see them a lot here in Boulder. But and I've seen plenty of bears, but not one the size that we saw. And luckily, Hayden was running a little bit ahead of me at the time. We kind of crested this hill and come around a turn, and he was just face to face, maybe 5 to 10 feet away from it. And then the bear saw me come up and obviously got super frightened and ran off. So
It must have been all those mustaches that you guys are
it
wearing.
had to been.
So what's up with the mustache?
Yeah, so I shaved it off after Black Canyons and then grew out a beard for a while and then shaved the beard down and had a mustache and totally butchered it when I was trimming it, like a rookie mistake. And so
As we do.
I'm in the process of regrowing it. Just shaved the beard back down, so I got a mustache in a month to get it cleaned up for Western.
Nice. I ran Providence Marathon with a mustache as well, and I think half the fun of having a mustache is like taking yourself not too seriously,
for sure,
and just having a good time and surprising yourself when you look in the mirror.
Yep, absolutely. And that was one thing we were kind of joking around at the Western States camp about, and Tim Tweetmeyer was actually like, it's power of the stash. You got to have the mustache. And I was debating all week if I was going to actually grow one back out for the race. And that was a convincing moment.
There we go. What do the next few weeks look like?
Yeah, a lot of just kind of the same old with training. I'm not going to be changing up too much. I have a few more longer runs, maybe like kind of a back-to-back weekend.
What is the biggest weekend you have leading up to a 100-miler?
I think probably this last week during the training camp was the biggest. I think goes around 100 miles in 6 days. I've been training pretty conservatively. I think a lot of people know. I'm going to be prepared for Western, but I'm not going all in this year. It's going to be a learning experience, and David's done really well with kind of keeping me toned back a little bit and excited about what can come in the next few years as well. So I think from now on, I'll probably be in the 80 to 100 mile range for a few weeks, and then we'll start to taper down.
Do you think being a coach yourself helps with that?
Yeah, it does. I think more than anything, I get to. When you're coaching athletes, you see these patterns and you see what works with certain athletes and what doesn't work with certain athletes. And trying to apply that to yourself is really hard. But that's, why I have such a great coach like David Roach. And so, but it does help getting to think about those things while I'm out on a run and kind of, I tend to be able to hold back a little bit knowing the patterns that I've seen coaching other athletes and stuff through the same thing.
What are some of the lessons or things that you keep reminding yourself that are sometimes hard to accept as an athlete, but that as a coach, like, this is right, you got to do it? Yeah.
For me, it's been just simply slowing down a little bit. I come from a road and track background where, most of your days need to be high quality. And I think when you get on the trails and you're beating yourself up with vert and a lot of extra mileage and your races are a lot longer, you simply got to slow down a bit to recover in between those big days. And it seems silly. There's 101 things that I could be thinking about or needing to do. But I think that's been the biggest game changer for me, and it's something I need to keep reminding myself throughout training is just to simply slow down a little bit.
For sure. Yeah. On that note, so you run up a sub-4 minute mile. What is it about the longer distance versus the speed that gets you excited these days?
Yeah, I think it's just something different. I've always, my whole running career, I've wanted to do something inspiring. So, when I was in college, I wanted to be a really good cross-country runner as well as being a sub-4 minute miler. And now that I've gotten that sub-4 minute mile, it's just intriguing to see how well can I do at these ultra distances, and can I, be competitive and elite at the 100 mile even, and see where that can take me. And who knows after that what's next, but that's kind of what it is. It's just kind of a fire of inspiration.
What is it about the 100 mile distance or the 100K or things that are longer than most people will run, in a year, that intrigues you?
I think just the challenge. It's for so long I went after time on the track, and you're chasing standards and trying to qualify for Olympic trials and things like that. And now 100 mile distance is, it's really a hard thing to comprehend when you're just kind of sitting down and thinking that's what you got to cover in a race. And for me, it's not so much the distance. It's more being out in the mountains and on the trails and something completely different than just the clockwork of going around a track in circles.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what's most exciting about it.
Cool. What got you out the door on your first run?
Oh gosh, first for the trails?
No, just in general.
First run in general. I think field day in elementary school. I wanted to do well in the distance run, and so yeah, I got excited about that, and I remember going out on a few little short training runs, and yeah, kind of going from there.
Nice. And as you were growing up, what are some of the lessons that you learned by making mistakes along the way?
Yeah, a lot of it, and this comes with like anything, just failing over and over again at certain things. Like I was very fortunate when I first started running to have success immediately, but that success doesn't always come in. Like it's not always there year in and year out. Like I've had years that have been awful where I've dropped out of probably 80% of my races, and I've had years where I've won probably 80 to 90% of my races. And so I think just one thing my parents had taught me was just to keep enjoying the process and staying determined and knowing that you can always get better if you just keep at it and keep trying, and not really ever fully giving up on it. If you need to take a break and a step back, fine, that's good. But it's always going to be there, and don't give up when it's going bad.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What's it like racing on the Nike Trail team? I know there are quite a few personalities and fun people on that team. Do you get to see them a lot? Is it, what's that vibe like?
Yeah, it's great. It's a pretty like family-like atmosphere, I must say. We're lucky enough here in Boulder to have quite a few Nike Trail athletes between Chris Mocco, Andy Wacker, Addie Bracey, and Corey Connor. We all live here in the Boulder area, so we get to see each other pretty often, and I think I'm even going to meet Mako for happy hour tonight, maybe, and talk about some Western States stuff. But it's cool. And then when we go to other races, Nike's been really supportive, and they're there a lot of the times. And the product development team gets to come in town, stuff like that. And it's just like it's people you haven't seen in a year, but you see them right away, and it's like they're your best friend. It's really a pretty cool team to be part of.
That's awesome. And there'll be a bunch of them racing this year.
Yep. Yeah, there'll be quite a few of us. I think we got maybe 6 or 7 athletes there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Will a few more of them be pacing? What's your crew like this year for Western States?
Yeah, so I'm sure there'll be a big Nike contingent out there helping out and everything. Maybe they may even have the Winnebago out there if anybody's going to be interested in checking that out. But as far as my crew goes, I'm going to have Joshua Stevens, who he runs for Ultra, good friend of mine from here in Boulder. He's going to be out there kind of as the leader of the crew, and he'll be helping out. He's got Badwater and Leadville this year, so he's got a stacked summer. It'll be fun for him. And then got Hayden Hawks is going to help pace me, and then my wife Lauren and my mom and dad, and then I got one of my best friends growing up is coming out from Texas to be there and hang out as well. So I got a good crew. It'll be fun.
Cool. What are you looking forward to most about standing on that start line?
I think just you watch all these videos and everything, and it's dark, and there's just and everybody's just like barely getting up, and you have 100 miles in front of you, but there's this weird buzz and excitement. Every video you watch, you can kind of just feel it, and I'm really looking forward to just like standing there and just being a part of that the most. It's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Have you spectated before?
Never, not Western States, no. Yeah, actually, I don't think I've spectated a full 100, so this will be a first.
It's such a cool atmosphere, and it just brings the best people out.
Yeah, can't wait.
The Olympic Village is something special in the few days leading up to it. So you come to it with a bit of an advantage because you live here at 5,000 plus feet. What sort of other things will you be doing to prepare from a course-specific standpoint, whether it's the heat, whether it's being up at 8,000 feet, things like that?
Yeah, so I'll definitely be doing some sort of sauna protocol over the next 2 or 3 weeks. We've been pretty lucky, minus today. It's been pretty cool here in Boulder. So it's been nice for training, but it's also you want to get in a little bit of heat training as well. So I'll be doing that to get acclimated. And then I do a lot of my longer runs and workouts up at a little bit higher elevation. So usually between 7,000 and 9,000 feet. I'll probably keep doing that. Just to help with building blood volume and staying fit that way. And that's usually where I can chase a lot of vert too and really beat up the legs. Western States is a course where it seems like you're either going up or going down on a lot of it. It's not any like huge climbs, but a lot of long descending, and that's going to require me to just pretty much trash the legs for a couple weeks. And so, yeah, I'll be doing a lot of that.
Cool. What do you do after a particularly tough session like that?
I'll recover with my nutrition company, Unived, that I run for. They have a really nice recovery drink, so I usually down that and then sit around, elevate the legs, and relax. Do a lot of my coaching from the couch and eating a ton of food. David always has me try and eat a cheeseburger or a pizza right after. I'm sure you're very well aware of, but Five Guys is my go-to. So
nice. Yeah, I remember my first 4-hour run. He put on the log, eat lots of fun food. Yep. I think I had like three pizzas, personal pizzas that day. It was a good day out in Vermont. What do you do in terms of like accessory work, mobility work? What are you doing outside of running to support 80 to 100 plus miles a week?
Yeah, my athletes are going to kill me for saying this. I don't do a whole lot, to be honest with you. I found, for me personally, the more additional like stretching and mobility work that I do, the more injured I end up for whatever reason it is. And this is close to 20 years of running. I've gone back and forth with working on this. I do, push-ups and pull-ups every now and then, and core work and that sort of thing. And then I'll do some gentle stretching and a lot of foam rolling. But that's about it. I don't do a whole lot of extra stuff. I get a lot of my strength work and mobility work in the mountains on technical trails here in Boulder. We're really fortunate that when you go out on a run here, you're not just running on kind of an even plane. You're jumping over rocks and this and that. And so that has seemed to keep me fairly healthy, knock on wood. So
cool. Well, speaking of your athletes, someone named David wants to know, is David Lamb your favorite athlete?
Oh, I don't have favorites, but David is great. He's I met David out at the Woodside Ramble 50K in California this past winter, and we just had an awesome connection. He's a great guy, and a lot of good stuff to come from him. He's gonna be a good athlete.
Yeah, for sure. He is a funny guy. What are some of the things that you've learned after getting into the trail running side of things that perhaps might have had some carryover when you were running on the track or running shorter distances?
I think patience with, that goes same from the track to the trails and trails to the track. I think patience has been the biggest thing, and you can't rush training and trying to be good at something. It's taken me, I started this trail running journey in 2016 after the Olympic trials, and it's taken me until now to kind of be at least close to where I want to be fitness-wise and competitive-wise. And so just being patient, trusting the process, and just sticking to the grind, because it's a long one.
For sure. Speaking of the grind, what do you do when things get physically challenging in a race?
I guess I kind of go through a whole thought process of things, but just finding things to be positive about and happy about, that's really tough to do in the middle of a 100K or 50 miler. Luckily, I haven't had too many issues at the longer distances yet with that, which I'm sure Western will be a whole nother.
You'll have your chance.
Yeah. A few of the mountain races I've done, I've hit some pretty low points, and we're talking, these are only 30K races or marathon distance races. And, when things get really tough, I just tend to realize where I'm at. Like, I'll look around and be like, well, I'm in the middle of the Swiss Alps. Like, how can I be too pissed off right now?
Right. Yeah, so, that's pretty sweet.
You're finding things like that, or thinking about your family, and we just got a puppy, so probably thoughts of my puppy will be in my head.
It's a very cute puppy.
Things like that, yeah. But there's a lot of different things you can do to get out of that funk.
Cool. So we're sitting here in Boulder. There are, I don't know, tens of thousands of elite athletes in this town. Maybe that's, plus or minus a few,
right.
But something like that. I was chatting with Kat Bradley earlier today, and she said Boulder average is having a shoe sponsor, or running a 33-minute 10K or something like that.
Right.
Like, that's average for this town. What's it like being a part of that? Being a part of that community where you walk down the street and there are people that, have Olympic gold medals, and they're, all ranges of athletes, all types of athletes, at the highest of high levels.
Yeah, it's cool. It's Boulder's a funny place because of that. This is the only place you can be walking down the street, and or going to a gym, for instance. You can go into Raleigh, and you're standing next to 6 people who've been in the Olympics, and 2 of them have gold medals. It's a weird.
It's weird that they wear the medals all the time. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's the weighted vest training style.
But yeah, when I first moved to Boulder, when I realized I was in a special place, was I was working at Boulder Running Company, and we have tons of different events and stuff there, and I was coming out of college, and I was pretty happy, thinking I was a good runner. I'd just broken 4 in the mile, and I was talking to somebody at one of the events, and we were talking about that, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's nothing special. Let me name all the sub-4 minute milers
cool,
that I know here in Boulder." Yeah. And I mean, the list was 20 plus people, and we're talking. I don't even know in the U.S. if there's probably been 500 people that have broken 4 minutes. In Boulder alone, we have, I don't know, maybe 50 of them here living, and it's incredible. It's really cool.
So how do you balance, like, not comparing yourself to other people? I asked that not just about Boulder, but social media, Strava, things like that. How do you stick to your guns and stick to your own training and not fall victim to the comparison game?
I for a long time that was part of my problem. I think I would get on social media or Strava, and I'd see what somebody else did, and I'd have to go one up them. And I wish I could say that, like, by myself I was able to change that thought process, but it wasn't really until I had David as a coach. I mean, I could sit here all day and praise David. I mean, he's really changed my outlook, and just telling me that no matter what I'm doing, I'm perfect, basically, and no matter how I'm training, or if I'm injured and I'm sitting on the couch eating potato chips, I'm the best person in the world. Just having that thought process and really helped me just not care too much about what other people are doing. I get excited when, like, last year I saw Jim Walmsley break the record at Western States, and I was like, oh, that'd be something really cool to do in a few years, go after that record or something. And I think about things like that, but I don't get caught up in what Walmsley's doing every day or every week on Strava. I'll randomly see something he does and give him some kudos, and that's pretty much the extent of it. But I think I'm doing it, for myself and for my family, and I want to inspire other people. And it's also, I'm not doing this to make a point or prove something. It's to, make running a better sport and up the ante a little bit. And so when you're, when you're competing against people that are throwing down crazy things, it's really easy to get caught up in it. But David helps a lot with just holding me back and keeping me in my own little world. Yeah,
I feel like this stretch of podcasting has been the David Roche tour.
Yeah.
Or the fan club tour. And I say that half joking, half seriously, but the approach that he takes and that Megan takes with Swap is not revolutionary, but it's different than what most people are thinking. Most people are caught up in, and I was, when I joined Swap, caught up in numbers and caught up in beating your PR and beating signing up for a race and training for 16 weeks and crushing it, and then having post-race blues, and then not knowing what to do, and blah, blah, blah. Like, my recent marathon only came up like 6 weeks prior because Dave was like, hey, you're fit. Want to go celebrate that? And, like, it's just like and then I hit my goal that I had been chasing for 4 years. And it's just like a totally different approach. And I think that, I think it's incredible. And so how do you then take that and apply it to the athletes you coach, the posting you do on social media, the persona that you have through social media, things like that? How do you take that vibe, I guess, and share it with the world?
Yeah. Well, first off, my social media is pretty terrible. I need to be a little bit better about posting. Just
more dog, more stuff. Puppy.
But yeah, I've gotten that a lot. More puppy pics is where it's going to be at. But
that's how you get all the likes.
But yeah, as far as applying that to my own athletes, I've taken everything I've learned from David and Megan, and I've applied it to my own coaching, and it's made a big difference. You're right. It's really easy to fall into that dark rabbit hole of metrics and data and getting too caught up in what you've done and what you want to do and looking at the numbers. I mean, at the end of the day, like numbers are important and data is important, but leave that up to the coach to worry about and look at. If you're not enjoying getting out there, like if you can't go on a run without a watch and enjoy it, you don't need to be doing it. And David taught me that. I mean, I remember at one point he was like, let's go out and let's run without a watch for a week and just get back to kind of loving yourself and loving running. And
what was that first run like?
Yeah, it was freeing. I didn't realize I was in a cage, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, a Garmin can be a dangerous thing, and same with Strava. And so I'll have my athletes do that every now and then when I see them really struggling with like comparing a workout with 2 weeks ago. But what they don't realize is, you know, they also like had a really busy work week, and that could have been affecting the workout and stuff like that. That the coach sees, the athlete sometimes doesn't always understand is happening. So really, just trying to teach that. Like, let me as the coach worry about the numbers and the metrics, and I'll tell you, you know, you'll see it in training when things are changing. But go out and enjoy the process and enjoy being out there, because yeah, that's why we should do it to begin with. So.
For sure. Are you on a weekly rest day?
I am, of course, yeah. And a weekly rest day, and then another day that's really
super
low
chill.
volume,
Yeah.
super chill. I think that's been really a game changer for me too. So.
Yeah, it's fascinating to hear that athletes at your level, you know, running 80 to 100 miles a week are still taking rest days.
Yeah.
And amateurs that are running, you know, 50 miles a week or 40 miles a week are running 7 days a week. I had a stretch of a couple of years where I was doing a rest day every like 3 or 4 weeks, and I was progressing but never racing well. And for the last year and a half, I've had like a consistent Monday rest day, and it's great.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a real thing, but I like to think of it as cellular reconstruction. It's a day where everything just repairs itself and gets better, and whether it's actually happening or not, thinking that and allowing you to
positive
soak up all
thought,
that pizza you ate the night before. I mean, it makes a big difference. You may feel a little sluggish the next day on your run out, but your workout
crush that Wednesday.
Yeah, you know. I think it's a really important day, and if anything, mentally, and to spend some time with your family or, you know, whoever else you're close to, just having that 24 hours is really important.
For sure. And part of the rationale, I think, is that for a lot of people, Mondays are the most stressful days from a work perspective.
Right.
My Mondays are filled with meetings, and sometimes I eat lunch at 2:00 and things like that. So let's talk about the progression from track to ultra running. A lot of times people, I feel like people sign up for an ultra and they just pile on miles, and then they get injured, and then that's that. How did you go from running in high school and college and post collegiate to running the kind of volume you're doing now?
Yeah, in actually probably the peak of my mileage in training was while I was in college at Adams State. I was getting upwards to 130 to 140 miles a week, and that was while also living at 7,500 feet in Alamosa, Colorado. So it was pretty heavy, intense training. And then when I graduated college, I moved out here to Boulder and started training for the Olympic or to try and make the Olympic trials for the marathon, and got qualified for that. And I think I overdid it a bit. I was doing, again, 130 to 140 miles a week, but the intensity wasn't as crazy as it was in college, but probably a bit too much going into a marathon. And so after that, I decided to give trail running a try, just to do something new and freshen it up a bit. And Addie Bracey, Hayden Hawks, and Andy Wacker and I went out to Loon Mountain to run the U.S. mountain running champs, and all found ourselves qualifying for the world team that year. And
that's a gnarly race.
It was, it was a crazy one. And I remember getting there and looking at that last climb on the course, thinking, like, what have I gotten myself into?
It's like 5 miles straight uphill, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of an area that flattens out, but then
you're running over rocks there, though, right?
Yeah, rocks and ski slopes. I think the last kilometer of the course is all at 30. It's an average grade of 37%. So you're climbing a lot. Yeah.
What's your favorite kind of trail running? Is it something like that? Is it something runnable like Western States? Is it what is it?
I like a lot of variety. I think right now I'm really enjoying those like flowy, fun trails where I can just kind of open up and use the leg speed I do have. I don't know how much leg speed you can truly use in a 100-mile race, but being able to get down under 7-minute miles in the middle of 100 is fun. At least I think it's going to be fun. It was fun during 100K. And so, just those like really flowy trails that you're not climbing crazy amounts, but you're not descending crazy amounts either.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Ian Sharman has an approach or a perspective where your top speed doesn't quite matter as much as your minimal. I forget how he explains it. Your average lowest speed, or the people that are faster when they're going slow are going to do better over the course of 100 miles. How do you practice that endurance and maximize the low end? Well, you've done a great job maximizing the high end. How do you maximize that low end for the distance?
Yeah. Again, like back to David's amazing coaching. We get to go out and run together every now and then. Most weekends we go out to this place called Walker Ranch outside of Boulder here. And it's a nice 8-mile loop with a lot of elevation gain and then runnable trail as well. And what we do is we'll run that loop, 3 or 4 times, and part of it will be tempo effort, and then we'll go back into slow fat burning effort. And that sort of transition in the middle of a run has been a good way of training it. So I feel really comfortable at tempo effort, and then I feel really comfortable again going back to that kind of like what we
low
call
and slow,
all day effort. Yeah. So a lot of just variation changing, and then taking gels when you need to take gels, and not taking them at certain points. A lot of strategic kind of, I guess the science of the sport kind of goes into it a little bit more. But I got to talk to Ian a little bit at the Western States training camp, and I think he was definitely onto something. A lot of it is variant on the course and the conditions, but I mean, it's proven well for him. He's been top 10 how many times? So
yeah, trying for 10 this year.
Yeah.
It's been pretty cool to see. How do you feel about balance? Balance is something that people seem to be on either one side of the fence or the other, and no pun intended, obviously. What's your take on balance?
I think it's important to have balance. My whole life has been running, and it's something I'm very, very passionate about. But I've also been able to really focus on, with doing things with my family, or having balance with work and running and things like that. And I think if you don't have some sort of balance, you're going to end up hating what you're doing. You can't just keep beating your head against the wall every day for one thing.
Expecting something different to happen.
Exactly.
What are some of the things that you wish you knew in 2015, 2016 that you've discovered about trail running, or the way that the sponsorship game works, things like that someone who's maybe just getting into longer distance racing, outside of being patient, what are some of the tips you might have for someone who's a little newer than you are?
I think staying hungry. There's a lot of times where from 2015 to now I quit running twice, and I wish if I hadn't quit for those 8-month periods, who knows how much quicker I could have progressed. But staying hungry when things do get rough, because they're going to, and then I think not worrying so much about sponsorships and trying to make money in this sport, because there isn't a whole lot of money in this sport. You're very lucky if you get to a position where you're able to make money doing this, and that usually comes at a time when you're least worried about it. So if you can find something that you're really passionate about, that you can earn a nice income and still be able to train and really enjoy the process of running, then it's all going to come together when it needs to.
Cool. Do you do any mental training?
I think my whole life's been a form of mental training. Yeah, between some of the things that I went through in the Navy, and sometimes of battling depression, and then that also goes for the same with the highs in life and having amazing years and times in my life where things have been great. I think all of that's been helpful for ultra running. The more experiences you have in life, the better ultra runner you're going to be, because that's all a race over 50K is, just a series of ups and downs.
For sure. Let's talk about the mental health side of things. How does running play into that for you?
I think it's always been something I've enjoyed so much of. Even when I have been at my darkest times, I've always found myself coming back to running, and it's something I can just kind of get lost in my own thoughts, whether they're good or bad thoughts. When I'm out on a trail or out on the road running, everything seems okay. It's kind of like my safe place, I suppose. A lot of people aren't fortunate enough to have something like that in their lives, and I think running plays a big part of my life in kind of keeping me level.
Cool. Rob Krar has been very vocal about mental health and men's health and both awareness and really just sharing his own story. And I find that really amazing. One of the things that he talks about is just feeling alive on the runs. And, he says, I think his Twitter bio is I run 100 miles for fun and go to a dark place. Yeah. Or something like that. And it's that having that power where you're choosing the pain. Do you feel that too in a way? Is Devin Yanko has talked about this too.
Right. I do. I think a lot of it for me is running kind of gives me a sense of purpose, I suppose. It's when I'm out there doing it, I feel like I'm doing it for some reason I can't explain. It's something it was sort of a calling, whether it's to inspire or if it was for myself, I don't know. But when I'm out running, I feel this purpose and reason to be doing it, and it kind of shuts off other thoughts and other places that I am when I'm outside of running.
Have you spent time working with a therapist?
I did. Like right when I got out of the Navy, I probably spent the most time working with a therapist, and at that time in my life, I was going through a lot of stuff, and the therapy sessions helped. But I think what helped the most was my therapist telling me, "Hey, go, find something where you can go exercise, go lift weights, or do you run or anything?" And I was like, "Yeah, I used to run," and that's when I started, picking up running again, quitting smoking, quitting drinking, and everything just totally changed from there. And so I think talking to somebody is great. It's a amazing thing to have, and I definitely suggest it. But also, finding reason for being out running for me and purpose has been big.
Cool. What are some of your favorite trails out here in Boulder to switch things up a little bit?
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Actually, I was, for whatever reason, thought you were going to ask that. There's a lot in Boulder, a lot of good trails. I love the Walker Ranch Loop. I think that's David and I's favorite place to run and do some big workouts. I don't know when we'll ever get sick of it, but right now that's my favorite place here in Boulder.
That's right near their house, right?
It's kind of on the other side of Flagstaff Mountain. So
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess, in between, but on the other side of the mountains there. And and then my favorite trails around here, I love going up to Evergreen, Colorado, and running Bergen Peak or Evergreen Mountain. Those trails out there are awesome, and those are some of the first trails that got me into really trail running. So yeah.
Have you spent much time on Magnolia Road?
Too much time. Yeah.
You want to tell people what that one is?
Yeah. So Magnolia Road's a famous road where I guess it kind of got its start. Well, maybe from Frank Short and those guys, but I know CU has taken the team up there and done a lot of big long runs in the fall to get ready for cross country season. And on any given Sunday, you can go up there and there'll probably be 40 or 50 runners from all over the world out there training. And it's a rolling dirt road. I say rolling, it's got some pretty gnarly climbs and descents. And you're sitting at, anywhere from, I think, 8,000 to 9,500 feet for most of the run. And you can make it pretty much as long as you want, but most people go like 7 miles out and 7 miles back to peak highway.
What are you thinking about during a workout like that it's going to suck?
Yeah. Well, I've done it. I've done enough runs and workouts on that road to where I kind of know every little spot and I expect when things are coming up. But the funny thing about that is I can expect it all I want. And it still doesn't get any better every time I go out there.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is just like, you're kind of like, at least I'm just telling myself, okay, I'm just callousing the body. I'm just making myself tougher. Like, how easy is a course like, Black Canyon's going to feel, where I know it's not going to be at this elevation. It's just going to be rolling and that sort of thing. So
cool. Yeah. Where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, so on Instagram, my handle is at MattDaniels480, and same on Facebook. It's MattDaniels480. Same on Strava, MattDaniels480, and same on Twitter. So.
Consistency, I love it. Thanks so much for chatting today, and we'll be rooting for you in a few weeks.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. That's it for today's episode. Like many long runs, it's sad when it has to end. I hope you join in next week on For the Long Run. And in the meantime, happy trails. If you've enjoyed this episode, it would mean a lot to me if you shared it so that others can find it and enjoy it too.